So I'm glad to see a lot of people here interested in what we're going to discuss. So as an overview of what we're going to speak about, so the bishops of North America, they all met together, and as they do on a regular basis, and they discussed several things, and one of them was regarding the service of the deacons. And it was mentioned that even though we have many different ranks of deacons, like we have the chanter and the reader and the subdeacon and so on, and yet in the church there's really no differentiation between these ranks. For instance, readers are chanting and chanters are reading, and everyone is serving in the altar, although in traditionally the only deacons that should be serving on the altar are full deacons, like consecrated deacons that wear black. We're really the only ones that should be serving in the altar. So the idea was presented that either we cancel all of the ranks of deacon to where there's just deacon, in which case it would be like we're already practicing, where every deacon does everything, or we actually enforce the different ranks of the deacon as they already exist. Okay? So it was discussed among the bishops, and they agreed that we were going to start enforcing all of the ranks of the deacon as they already exist, and this will be something that is practiced in all of North America. So it's not going to be only in our diocese. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what that's going to mean, okay, because things are going to change a little bit from what we are used to, and kind of talk about like the timeline of when that's going to happen. Okay, so why are we meeting? Bishops of North America have released new guidelines and rules for the diaconate to be implemented in all the churches in North America, and here's the names of all of the bishops, okay? And these changes will be implemented gradually, and I'm going to talk more about what that means. Okay? The specific requirements, so you might be already aware that each of the ranks of the deacon has certain requirements that must be met in order for them to be appointed to that rank. So for instance, in order to be appointed to the rank of the chanter, the person has to be at least 6 years old. They have to be able to recite certain hymns that are in the requirements document. In order for them to be a chanter, they have to be a servant in the church. They have to be at least a certain age to be a chanter. They have to have certain attendance at the liturgy, 80% attendance, and so on. The exact requirements for each of the three ranks, is all the ranks of the deacon, is still under review. So I'm not going to discuss the specific requirements for each rank today because they haven't been finalized yet, but I'm going to speak about some general things that are going to apply to all deacons, okay, today, and then later on, once the requirements for each of the ranks is well defined, then we can announce that, and everyone can know what it is each of those requirements are. Here are some general requirements. Every deacon must have their own tunic and bring that tunic every Sunday. These tunics that we have in the closet here, I know a lot of people come and use them, which is fine if you forgot your tunic. But we have a lot of deacons that come, and we don't always have enough tunics for them. And these tunics are not designed to be used on a weekly basis, right? If you don't have a tunic, then you should get a tunic. And if you don't know where to get one, you can come talk to me, or you can come talk to Abe, and we can help you find a tunic. The tunics can only have crosses on them. There are some tunics that have icons of saints on the back or on the front. This is not permitted in the diocese. The tunics must only have a cross either on the front or the back or nothing, okay? But they cannot have icons of the saints. Coming early to the service is mandatory, okay? So our liturgy here, we start at 8:30 a.m. So anyone who wants to be a deacon should come at least during matins. Whether anywhere from 8:30 to say 8:45, this is the time where deacons should arrive. If you are going to be serving that weekend, okay, in any capacity, you have to be here early, right, to make sure that you're here. Because sometimes what happens is the deacon who is appointed to serve in some capacity in the church comes late, and we try to swap them out with somebody else at the last minute. It can cause confusion. Also, we have a hymns class. The hymns class is made for deacons and also for everyone else. But at least for deacons should be coming to attend this class. The hymns classes are on Saturday at 5:30 to 6:30 before Vespers. So by coming to this class, it gives us an opportunity to learn the hymns together. There's a lot of us that don't know the English hymns. Even if we are talented deacons that have been attending other churches, when you come here and you try to say some of these hymns in English, I don't know, right? So we have to come and attend the hymns class. It's for all ages, right? The hymns class is for all ages. And then it being Saturday evening, you can come and attend, and then attend Vespers and midnight praises immediately afterward. If you can't stay for everything, you can at least stay for as much as you can stay, because this is part of the service of being a deacon. Okay? All ranks of the deacons, they must attend 80% of the liturgy during the year. Okay? 80%. If you want to serve as a deacon, that means you have to come and attend, right? It's not just an honorary rank. It's a rank for you to actually practice this service in the church. All ranks, this is something new also, that when I'm going to explain this a little bit more. All deacons will stand together in groups. Okay, so one of the, like we said, the ranks of the deacon are now going to be enforced. Okay, so that means there's going to be chanters, and their role is chanting. And there's going to be readers, and their role is reading. There's also going to be a new rank. It's not new, it's existing, but we just don't have any of them, which is the subdeacon. The subdeacon is the rank higher than the reader. We're going to have subdeacons. When His grace comes, He's going to appoint subdeacons, and they also will have a place to stand. So everyone is going to stand according to their rank. And I'm going to explain what the subdeacon's going to do and everything. Do you have a question? That's okay. I mean, there's going to be obviously, things like that with the parents standing next to their kids and so on. But we're trying to get it to the point where when you're able to stand on your own, you're going to stand in a certain arrangement, okay, according to your function. Okay. So each deacon, because now, for instance, you can't have chanters reading, okay. But let's say you're a chanter, and let's say you have been reading for a long time, and you are qualified to be a reader, but you are not a reader. Okay, you can be eligible to be promoted to the rank of reader. Okay, so we have made a list of all of the deacons in the church. I'm speaking specifically, I know there's people visiting from other churches. I'm speaking specifically about the deacons that attend at St. Paul. We've made a list of all the deacons that attend at St. Paul and their ranks. Okay, and looking at if they're going to be eligible to be promoted to another rank based on some of the requirements that I'm saying here, like attending hymns class, attending 80% of the liturgies, participating and so on, okay, as well as once they define all of the final requirements for each of the ranks, that you also meet this rank, then we will decide who can be promoted to the next rank, okay? And those deacons that can be promoted to the next rank will be promoted, okay, when His grace comes to visit us, God willing, next year. Okay. I can't remember what I was going to say. Okay. Oh, some deacons, okay, maybe can be promoted, but there are certain items that they still need. For instance, let's say you're a deacon and you have all the requirements, but you don't attend liturgies enough. So we're going to approach you individually and say, if you would like to be promoted to the next rank, here's what you need to do. You need to attend hymns class more. You need to attend liturgies more. You need to, whatever, XYZ, whatever the requirements are going to be for that rank, we're going to tell you this is what you need. If you would like to be promoted, this is what is expected of you, okay? And then it's up to you. It's up to you if this is what you want to do or not. Okay, what are the roles now that is going to be for each of these ranks, okay? Because remember, we are going to have chanters, readers, and subdeacons. Okay, chanters, readers, and subdeacons. We haven't had subdeacons yet up until now. Nobody in this diocese has been subdeacons for the most part. So I'm going to explain now how this structure is going to work. The role of the chanters is to chant. Okay? Historically, what's been happening in the church is you have chanters and you have readers, and the readers are usually the older ones, and they're the more experienced ones, and they're the ones that know the hymns better. And so the readers are the one leading the liturgy, and the chanters are usually the ones kind of singing along, okay? With this system now, the chanters, okay, who tend to be younger in age, they are the ones that should be leading the liturgy, right? So we're going to make an effort to have the chanters be eventually the ones leading the liturgy. Now, the only way that can happen is if they're coming and attending the liturgy consistently, and they're coming early, and they're attending hymns class, right? Because there's no way that we can have children who are maybe, in middle school leading the liturgy when they don't know the hymns. Okay? So the chanter chorus is going to be the one leading the liturgy. This is not going to happen instantaneously, obviously, but it's something that we're working toward, because the role of the chanter is to chant, not to read, not to serve in the altar. The role of the chanter is to chant. So we want the chanters to be able to lead the congregation. This is the goal. Okay? And if we can reach that goal where the chanters are leading the congregation, then we're meeting the requirements of the rank. Okay? Again, what's been traditionally happening is the readers are the one leading the congregation because the readers are the adults. Okay? We don't want that. We want the chanters, whether they are adults or whether they are children, to lead the congregation, but that's not going to happen for free. That's going to require a commitment from every deacon and for the parents of the deacons that are chanters to bring them to the hymns class every week so they can actually learn these hymns. Okay? Without that, there's no way that they can ever reach that point where they're going to lead the congregation as chanters. So what is the rule? Responsible for chanting all congregation responses and hymns under the guidance of the head deacon. Chanters will be encouraged to lead as they learn, including children, and they must attend the hymns class. Okay? Chanters. The next rank is the reader. Okay? Readers, their goal is to read. Okay? Meaning when you have someone as a reader, it's not to say that they cannot chant. Obviously, the whole congregation is chanting. Okay? But their primary role is to read. The chanters are not going to read. Okay? And ideally, the readers are not leading the liturgy. Ideally. That eventually we can get to that point. So the readers, when they read, it means they have to be competent in reading. It means they have to be able to read well. It means that when they're assigned to read, they read the passage that they are called to read beforehand. So when they come to the church, they can pronounce all the words correctly. They can say everything in the right way. The goal of the reader, actually, if you pay attention to the prayer of appointment of a reader, it's not just about reading, it's about interpretation. That a reader should be able to interpret the scripture. A reader is a teacher. A reader is one who you can go up to him and you can say, tell me what it is that you just read and explain it to me, and they will be able to tell you that, right? It's not just, oh, I have a nice voice and I can go up and read. You have to understand what it is that you're reading. Why is it important? Okay? So this is the emphasis on the reader. Also, the reader must wear their stole. The stole is the batrashin. Okay? To differentiate between who is a chanter and who is a reader, you must wear this. I know sometimes we're like, okay, lazy, and we talked about laziness, right? Lazy, we don't want to wear it, it's not comfortable. No, we have to wear it. Okay, so starting with this new requirement, all readers must wear the stole. If you do not wear the stole, you cannot serve. Okay, because again, we have to differentiate. Every single person who's going to come up to this podium, except me, must have the stole. Okay? Because they are a reader. They are not a chanter. Another reason why, bring your own tunic. We do not have any stoles here. All we have is tunics. So if you're a reader and you forgot your stole, unfortunately you cannot serve. Okay? This is the new rank. And this is the biggest change that we have in the system. Okay? In this new system. The idea that now we're going to have subdeacons. Okay? Subdeacons. The original role of the subdeacon in the church was the one who managed the church, made sure that everyone was standing in order, managed the vessels and the altar, made sure that everything was ordered the right way. Not to serve in the sanctuary. Okay, again, the deacon's level that was intended to serve in the sanctuary was the full deacon, the consecrated deacon. We don't have any of those in our diocese. Okay. So until the day comes when we have these full deacons in our diocese, in every church that is serving in the altar, the subdeacons are going to be the one that are serving in the sanctuary. Only subdeacons. Which means that children, including chanters and readers, are not going to be serving in the sanctuary. Only subdeacons will be serving in the sanctuary. Okay? So again, this means that we have to promote deacons from whatever ranks that they are now to subdeacons. Okay? The subdeacons have to know how to serve in the sanctuary, right? Sometimes and this includes matins and vespers too, right? Sometimes we have a deacon that's serving in the sanctuary that doesn't really know what to do, and so we have another deacon there helping them and so on. This isn't going to happen anymore. Okay, now we're going to have deacons, and one of the requirements of being a subdeacon is that you have to know exactly what to do in the sanctuary. When do you bring the censer? Okay, when do you bring the towel? When do you bring the candles? When do you bow? When do you not bow? When to turn the page for the priests on the, in the liturgy book. So many things that have to be done in the altar is going to be managed by the subdeacons. Okay? Yes. Yes, that's a good question. There's going to be like a training for each of the ranks. Okay? Okay? Those selected for promotions will be contacted individually and given the requirements for their promotion, testing before promotion based on requirements for each rank, chanting hymns, knowing how to read properly, alter responses, getting the censor, etc. And there will be training for this. Okay? So for instance, if you're a deacon, or you're going to be a deacon, you're less than 6 years old, and you're going to be promoted to, or you're going to be appointed to be a chanter. Okay, here is what it is you have to know to be a chanter, and then you are tested on it, and then if you pass the test, when His grace comes, you will be appointed a chanter. Same thing with a reader. If you are a chanter now, and you are going to be promoted to a reader, okay, then we will give all the requirements. Here's what you have to do, here's what you don't do, so on, and then there will be some kind of test for it, including all the requirements that you must meet, like attendance and all that stuff, and then you can be promoted to a reader. Subdeacon as well. We're going to tell you, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. This is how you put all the altar vessels in the thing, and here, and everything, okay? And then there can be a test on it. And then based on that and meeting the requirements of the subdeacon, you can be then promoted to be a subdeacon when His grace comes. So the expectation is, when His grace comes next year, okay, all of these appointments will happen. All of these promotions will happen, okay? For now, until that happens, we are going to begin going through the list, like I said, and contacting individual deacons. Some deacons are not going to change. For instance, a child who is 6 years old is already deacon, they're a chanter, they're going to probably remain a chanter, okay? In which case, we're not going to approach that person beyond sending them, here is what you should do. Here is the requirements of chanting, any guidelines we have, so on. Many of them already meet the guidelines, and that's it. But if you have been appointed, or if you've been selected to be promoted to the next rank, then we will contact you at some point. This is not necessarily going to be this month, okay? We have until early next year where His grace is coming, okay? The first half of next year. I don't know exactly which day the promotion is going to be yet. Thing is His grace is coming twice. He is coming for the theophany liturgy, and He is coming on Palm Sunday. So I don't know which of these two He's going to want to do the promotions on. So it's going to be one of those two. It's either going to be the theophany liturgy, in which case those people not used to attending the theophany are going to have to come and attend the theophany, or it's going to be on Palm Sunday, okay, which is already a very long day, okay, but there might be promotions then as well, okay? So we'll see about that, and we'll let you know when we have more information, okay? But for now, we will be contacting individuals and essentially telling them, you already meet the requirements because you're already attending liturgy, you're already attending hymns class, you're already doing everything that you should be doing, and you're going to be promoted to the next rank, okay? Or we might say, you are eligible to be promoted to the next rank, but here is what you're lacking. You need to attend liturgy more. You need to attend hymns class more. You need to whatever, okay? And then it's up to the individual. Do I want to do this, or do I want to remain as I am? Okay, it's completely up to you whether you want this promotion or not, because the understanding and the expectation is that if you are promoted, you will serve, right? We're not going to promote someone from a chanter to a reader, and then when we assign you to read, you'll be like, I'm too busy, I can't come consistently and all the time, right? We expect you to have at least 80% liturgy attendance. Or someone who wants to be promoted to a subdeacon, right? And then when we assign you to serve in the sanctuary, you keep declining and say, no, I am too busy, I can't come, it's too far, whatever it is, right? So the understanding is we are not just promoting someone for the sake of giving you an honorary rank, right? Anyone who wants to be promoted has to serve when they are asked to serve, okay? And they have to meet these requirements. Yes? Well, we barely have any weekday liturgies, so it's Sunday liturgies. So, yeah. Okay. And 80%, I mean, we will send the detailed documents of all the requirements. Like I said, the requirements have not been 100% defined for the three ranks of what it will be. Even the age levels of these three ranks might change from what they currently are, okay? So everything is undefined right now, okay? In terms of what I'm telling you here are the general requirements, the requirements that affect every rank of deacon. The specific requirements for each individual rank are still going to be posted, and we will definitely have this discussion again, okay? Once all of the ranks have been defined, okay, of who's going to be promoted to what, then we will have individual meetings with all the chanters, with all those who will become readers, with all those who will become subdeacons. Based on when this based on when this happens, we can begin to phase in this before the ordinations are done, before the appointments are done. So if we have established who is going to be promoted to what rank, then even before you are promoted, we can begin this system to where only those who will eventually become some deacons start serving in the altar, all those who will eventually be readers are going to be reading, and all those who are going to be chanters, well, those who already are chanters, are going to be given more and more responsibility as long as they are attending the hymns class regularly, okay? And this way we try to ease into this. This is a big change. This is a big change in the diocese. It's affecting every single church in the country, right? And so we want to make sure we ease into this in a way that we can understand. And part of the benefit of this is making everyone take the deacon service more seriously and understanding that I have an important role and only my rank can do this role, right? And also to restore the sanctity of the sanctuary, right? The sanctuary is the holiest part of the church, and that's why only the highest rank can enter, and only the highest, most experienced ones can serve in it. Okay? Any questions? Yes. I think this is something that's been discussed in the past for a long time. It's just there was never any action taken for it. Yeah. But the idea that we have all of these promotions from, say, chanter to reader, but then nothing changes. So what we want in the church is we want people to strive and excel to attain the next rank. Like, we want someone who is a chanter to know that there are certain things I have to learn and there are certain things I have to do in order to become a reader. And as a reader, there's certain things I have to excel in order to become a subdeacon. And that those ranks matter, and that those ranks actually have a function. Right now, if I'm a chanter, and I'm already doing all the readings, then really being a reader is just kind of this honorary thing. I get to wear the red stole, right? There's no difference in function. But if we're now separating it out, now as a chanter, I have something to work toward, I have something to look forward to, I have something to attain, and that we hope is going to produce more seriousness in the church, as in the service of the deacons, that it's not just something that's like taken for granted. Yes. If there is someone that cannot attend here, so for instance, if you cannot attend here physically, okay, you can come up with a system where you can demonstrate that you are still attending. Like, for instance, we have a live stream in our hymns class, okay? The reason why I wouldn't say you should attend hymns class elsewhere is because our church is the only church in Houston that chants hymns in English. So if you learn the hymns in Coptic, that's good, but you still wouldn't be able to chant them here, okay? So it's important to attend here if you want to serve here, just for that reason. Okay? And if you can't physically attend, then we can track your attendance by watching the live stream, and you can be enrolled in the hymns class online, and we can work that out with you. Okay? But that should really be only a situation where you're unable to come for a good reason. Because what we really want is we want to build a chorus, right? In order to build a chorus, it's not just individuals that are spread out everywhere that are watching online. Like, that should be a backup. Like, that should be, if I can't physically be present for a good reason, then that's what I do. But if I can be present, then now I am part of a chorus, and we learn together, and we chant together, and it gives it a different feel and different flavor than just individuals learning on their own. Okay? Yeah. Yes, we have to. I mean, so our aim is that we will be able to promote enough people so that, we're going to have different subdeacons serving every week, and we have our rotation, okay? If we find that we do not have enough, we can always reduce the number of people in the altar from 4 to 3 or even 2 if we have to, but we're wanting to maintain 4, okay, if we can. When it comes to Vespers or it comes to Matins, there's a lot less deacons in the church, and that's one thing we want to change. We want to encourage people to be coming early, and because, again, even then, the subdeacons are the ones that are going to be serving in the sanctuary and not the chanters, okay? But if there's a situation, obviously, where there's physically not a subdeacon present, then we have to make an exception. Also, there will be an exception for very small churches that don't have enough deacons. They don't have to apply this. And also, this rule only applies for Sundays. Okay, even in larger churches, there's not necessarily enough deacons on a weekday to be able to implement this. So we're starting it out on Sundays in the churches that can support it. And then in the future, we can evaluate and see how we want to expand this, like during week or whatnot. Yes. It's based on the size of the church. Okay. So I can't give you a number, you know. The aim is, okay, so, and this is an important thing. It is not just the case because somebody is older that means they're going to definitely be a subdeacon, right? It's a selective process, right? Which means that some people might be chosen and some people might not be chosen. And again, it's based on the requirements. It's not based on the personal favor that you have with the bishop or with the priest or with anything. It's based on the requirements. Do you meet the requirements, and how well do you meet the requirements? Okay, and based on that, you will either be selected or not, right? So it's not the case that's like, okay, everyone that's over 21 or over whatever age is going to be the age. Oh yeah, you're definitely going to be a subdeacon. No, right? We want to move away from the idea that it's just expected. I expect that eventually, when I grow up, I'm going to become a subdeacon. No. It's based on how you meet the requirements, because that's the way that we have people work toward it. What if I'm not interested to be a subdeacon? You know, what if that's not my thing? It's not my talent, it's not my desire, you know? So everyone who works toward this and meets the requirements, they're the ones that can be selected. And because the entire church is not going to be a subdeacon, right? We can't have everyone. We're going to have a certain number of subdeacons that we need, okay, and a certain number of readers that we need, and the chanters that we also need. Okay, question? That's no change. That's the most important thing, yeah? Yes. No. Okay, but you have to meet the requirements. Okay, so he is asking, if you're currently a chanter, can you go straight to subdeacon? And the answer is yes, if you meet the requirements and if you're qualified, right? You know, some people maybe should have been promoted to reader a long time ago, but they just never were, and it didn't matter, honestly. It didn't matter. They were reading anyway, right? So now the question is, if you have someone who's really qualified to be a reader and qualified also to be a subdeacon, but they're currently a chanter, yes, they can be promoted to subdeacon. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Forever hold your peace. Yes? Okay. Glory be to God forever. Amen. Let's